Welcome to the debut of Made You Listen, a semi-regular podcast where I will go on at times incomprehensibly about something Bob Dylan did in the hopes that it will make you listen. I do my episodes like Bob does his recordings, all in one take, so you have to live with the errors. Tonight's episode, Boston Uncommon, 2005.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the poet laureate of rock and roll, the voice of the promise of the 60s counterculture, the guy who first spoke and played with rock, who donned makeup in the 70s and disappeared in the haze of substance abuse, who emerged to find Jesus, who was written off as a has-been by the end of the 80s, and who suddenly shifted gears, releasing some of the strongest music of his career beginning in the late 90s. Columbia recording artist, Bob Dylan.
By way of introduction, I'd like to start with a brief walkthrough of my life with Live Bob. It should help illustrate why I have even a passing interest in the 2005 residency. I grew up in Toronto, Canada. My early shows were close to home as I did not have the resources, time, nor inclination to follow a tour. All of that would come later. Dylan Show was a Rolling Thunder show on December 1st, 75 at Toronto's Maple Leaf Gardens, notable not only for the format and the scope of the touring project, but also for the inclusion of local stars Gordon Lightfoot and Joni Mitchell. I was a Dylan novice at this time, not even collecting bootlegs or connected to any community that could have clued me into what was happening here. I didn't even know there were two shows in Niagara Falls only 90 minutes away, but I didn't have a car or a credit card either. I retain three strong memories of this night: that Joan Baez was sublime with or without Bob, the Romance and Durango Isis double really kicked ass, and though it was the first time that we had heard it, and everyone was waiting for Hurricane. 1978 stands out for something I disremembered. I thought at the time that Just Like a Woman was transcendent and captivating. When I listen to the show now, I don't get that feeling anymore. Being there really does matter. Of greater note are the songs that never got out of this year. A few blues covers, most of Street Dash Legal, one from the 60s and one from Blood on the Tracks. I'm Ready, Is Your Love in Vain, Changing of the Guards, Going, Going, Gone, All I Really Want to Do, Am I Your Stepchild, and Where Are You Tonight from the show that I saw. Baby Stop Crying, Lover with a Feeling, Oh Sister, She's Love Crazy, and True Love Tends to Forget from other shows. He really did shake the dust off of his feet going into 1979. I was fortunate enough to be at Massey Hall in Toronto on April 20th, 1980, for the best ever show that became the Gospeller bootleg. I won't say any more, but if this group ever wants to hold a roundtable called Best Show I Ever Had, this atheist will testify, witness, or signify for that show. In the fall of 1981, I heard 2 out of 3 versions of ever played of Let It Be Me in Toronto and Montreal. At the time, I thought it a little peculiar that Bob was covering a pop tune by the Everly Brothers, but in retrospect, it seems it was more of an homage to the original songwriter, French songwriter Gilbert Bécaud, as the debut of this song was in Colombes, France, earlier in the summer. Bob went on a hiatus after this year, and we had kids in the early 80s, so I missed the stateside petty Grateful Dead tours, as I knew better than to leave the wife home with 2 toddlers. It was 1988 before I saw him again, got Silvio that night, and a bunch of greatest hits. On July 29, 1989, I saw a show in Maple, Ontario, just outside Toronto, with a rare collection of songs. He opened with Trouble from Shot of Love, played only 7 times, all in 1989. Gordon Lightfoot's Early Morning Rain, only 8 live outings. And Ernest Tubb cover, the wonderful Hey La La, 3 times only, and only once in North America. The show also had a relatively rare Tears of Rage and a Gates of Eden. I may be present on some recordings shouting, "Do you know any Dylan?" after the 3rd song. In 1990, I attended 2 of 3 shows at the O'Keefe Centre in Toronto, a proper concert venue, very intimate. Had a Tears of Rage reprise, Barbara Allen, another Early Morning Rain, a rare Tomorrow is a Long Time, and that Ronnie Hawkins version of One More Night. Besides the awkward moments Ronnie was on stage where it seemed no one knew what to do, the lasting memory is a wonderful version of Boots of Spanish Leather. The commemorative program also included Scott Cohen's 1985 spin interview, Don't Ask Me Nothing About Nothing, I Might Just Tell You the Truth. I got on the rail at Massey Hall one of two nights in August 17 and 18, 1992. Bob was in a surly mood looking down at us like we were imposing on him for being there. Oh well, we got some other rare, great, and less great songs. Wiggle Wiggle, two times and only one more time on the 20th of this month. Little Moses, Idiot Wind twice, and it was not played after the end of this month. And my second exposure to I Dreamed I Saw St. Augustine. We also got the last live version of Heart of Mine, Female Rambling Sailor, which only had 6 outings, and 2 by 2. 1988 in Toronto was notable for my first of many Tomb songs, Million Miles, Cold Irons Bound, and Till I Fell in Love with You. He played another Tomorrow Was a Long Time, more on that later, and he also tossed in a great Gordon Lightfoot cover, I'm Not Supposed to Care, which he only played 3 times, and if you haven't heard this song, it's well worth chasing down. 2000 in Toronto was the greatest hits show, um, except for my only version of Song to Woody in over 160 shows that I saw. In 2001, my wife and I finished our mortgage and for the next while planned every vacation around Bob's tour. We did about 140 Dylan shows together from 2001 through to the end of the decade. That's where my obsession with songs played, lyric changes, and other anomalies really took hold. In the spring of 2002, we saw a Paris show where Bob played Fourth Time Around and Visions of Johanna in that order for the first time since 1966. But we also got a Notre Dame remaining calm rhyme in Desolation Row instead of the usual Notre Dame expecting rain. In the summer of 2002, I was at the Return to Newport show with the Cross the Green Mountain disguise. A couple of weeks later, I got the first Haze of Substance Abuse intro in Hamburg, New York. In the fall of 2002, I had the pleasure of meeting Steve Butterworth, Brian Curry, and Jim Johnson in California. Jim taught me I could improve my Dylan listening experience by hitting the next button on the player. I could stop there, really, because all else pales in comparison. We got us some good shows with those classic rock covers. In 2004 at a Detroit residency, we got a Bob Seger cover, Get Out of Denver to End One show, and a surprise guest the next night where Bob invited someone on not to accompany him on Highway 61, but to play the artist song, Jack White and Ball and Biscuit. That brings us to the year of tonight's subject matter. As you may have ascertained, I enjoy crunching numbers, taking notes strictly on a fanboy level. When I got seriously into collecting shows, my wife created a database of every song Bob had played live, about 50,000 songs at the time. I used this data for my own amusement and to create a superb compilation called Semi-Precious Memories, where I had 2 versions of every song Bob had played twice, but no more than 10 times. It's also that data set that allowed me to create this presentation. While she's no longer with me, I still got the gift she gave. Some of the screenshots I have are outdated, but where it matters, I've used other sources to verify my perception. Boston Uncommon, 2005. To paraphrase Bob from Million Miles, I'm not going to tell you everything I know, I'm just going to tell you some of it. My premise is this. The 3-night residency at the Avalon Theater in Boston, April 15 to 17, 2005, has the most unique selection of songs on 3 consecutive nights ever. Now, grade 11 math were the best 3 years of my life, so I could be talking out my ass, but hear me out. He played 43 songs, 41 were unique. Only 2, Highway 61 and All Along the Watchtower, were repeated. That's a percentile of 95% unique songs. For reference, I sampled 10 other 3-night residencies from 2003 to 2005, 5 of which I attended and 5 I did not. Of the 10 I sampled, only 1 came close, 3 nights in Chicago. All the other sampled residencies were well below that average. Now, you can't tell from the first night of a residency if things will be the same or different the next night. Usually you can expect 3 to 5 new songs, unless it's the Rough and Rowdy Ways tour, where you just hang in there for a dead cover at some point. In 2005, none of us were arguing that this was the apex of Bob's live performing career. But in listening to the somnambulant tunes coming out of the current tour, I'm reminded that nothing makes old Bob sound better than new Bob. I say that half in jest. The shortcoming is really mine. I'm usually about a decade behind what Bob is doing and understanding what he's up to, but I'll see him in anything, so I stand in line. On this first night, there were a couple of signs that something special may be in the offing. In 2005, Bob was still suffering from the affliction of upsinging. While it was cute in 2001, I saw it as a method to make the words more comprehensible. The novelty had worn thin. By 2005, he was fighting it, going up on one line and forcing himself down on the rhyming couplet. He didn't always win. This show opens with To Be Alone With You, well done and always fun. A good rocking version with altered lyrics in the bridge. My screenshot shows only 14 performances since. That's a little outdated and has been fixed. It returned with a vengeance in 2021 after a 16-year hiatus with over 240 performances to date. It's early in the show, and Hazel is the first pleasant surprise. I was at the 9:30 Club in Washington a year earlier for its paying audience debut. It's been played only 7 times live to date. I got my third in New York City a couple of weeks later. Jim was there. Lyrically, it stays true to the recorded song. Bob is breathy and gravelly, giving in a little bit to the upsinging in the bridge, but a very good version with a nice harp outro as well.
Something I need a little. Oh, a little touch of your love. You stardust in your eye. You're going somewhere. It's so remote. You give you the sky above. Oh, a little touch of your love. Oh no, I don't need a little reminder. Just to know how much I really care. But it's just making me blind and wonder. 'Cause I'm up on the hill and still you're not there. You're calling I came. Now don't make me play this waiting game. You got something that I want, a little. Ooh, a little touch of your love. I don't need a reminder just to know how much I really care. But it just makes me blinder and blinder because I'm up on the hill. this feeling, yeah. You got something that I need. Yeah. Ooh, a little taste of your love.
He follows that with an absolutely stunning rendition of It's All Right Ma, I'm Only Bleeding, swampy, muddy like ZZ Top without the beards. Almost complete, long as it is, it's missing only the segment from Obey Authority to the Mean No Harm bridge. He's definitely committed to the song. We could have done without If Dogs Run Free, worst up singing of the night, really no redeeming value to this song, or By and By, or Moonlight while we're on the subject. Tough Mama gets a rocking, respectable outing, and it's dawning on me we may have an interesting mix of tunes coming our way. The Too Soft for My Liking, up singing Afflicted, Shelter from the Storm, and the ever present Cold Irons Bound momentarily dissuade me of that opinion, but Bob was about to turn it up another notch. By this time in my collecting and touring career, I was fully immersed in every night's set list. I was collecting and listening to each new live show. I was almost complete in compiling all the available shows to date. So when we started Tomorrow Was a Long Time, I sensed we were witnessing something special. As the flashcard shows, it had been a while since it was played, and it would be a while before it appears again. This was the second last performance. It's done once more in New York City in 2008. I was fortunate enough to get 4 of the 69 live versions of this song, 2 in Toronto, 1 in Oberhausen, Germany in 2002, and this evening's rendition, which we will listen to now.
If today was not an endless highway, if tonight was not a complete dream, if tomorrow wasn't such a long time, alone someone mean nothing to me who alone. Yes, and only if my own true love was waiting, if I could hear her heart softly pounding, if only she was lying by me. I lie in my bed easily. I see my reflection in the water. I can't speak, the sound sure not playing. I can hear the echo of my footsteps. I remember the sound of my own name. Yes, and only if my own true love was waiting, if I could hear her heart softly pounding, only if she was lying by me, I would lie in my bed again. That's the beauty that I remember in my blue love. Yes, I don't know if my own true love was ready. And I could hear her heart softly happy. Only if she was lying by me, I would lie in my bed. I said, only if my own true love was waiting. If I could hear her heart softly pounding. Only if she was lying by me, I would lie in my bed once
Highway 61 Revisited takes the obligatory fast slot between two slow songs, but the next slow song, wow. My personal debut for Chimes of Freedom, played only 57 times and not since 2001. Being the net, the song is truncated, two verses merged into one in the middle. Still, I knew this was special, mumbling and all. A beautiful arrangement with lengthy musical breaks.
up between sundown finish and midnight looking toward. We ducked inside the doorway from the crashing. As my Jackson barely moved, struck shadows in the south. See what it be? The chimes of freedom flashing. Flashing for the whole year. Who's think us not to fight? Flashing for the refugees on the armor of the flag. And police and every underdog soldier in the night. We gazed upon the chimes of freedom flashing. The city's mounted pillars unexpectedly walked with faces hidden as the walls were tightening. As the echo of the wind moved before the gifted rain dissolved in the bells of the night. Tolling for the river, tolling for the rain, tolling for the luckless, the abandoned and slave, tolling for the outcast, burning constantly at stake, and we gaze upon the chimes of freedom.
Fans were getting a little rowdy there. Fast Song Summer Days is next. I feel sorry for any band that doesn't include Larry Campbell and Charlie Sexton that has to play this song. Not that others can't play, but having been at Kent State and Fairfax in the fall of 2002, the song could have died then and there, speaking strictly for me. It would have still had its place in Bob Dylan's Tower of Song. Mr. Tambourine Man is always nice to hear, but that's just me being respectful to a great song, this version being the exception that proves the rule. As Bob's attempt to play it slow has him falling prey to the upsinging curse. He's always great with his phrasing, so even this debacle has a couple good moments. I think there's a version from Towson, Maryland in 2000 that would make for a better listen. Mississippi, the last pleasant surprise this evening, only played live 75 times. This is one of 3 eyewitness. None were as good as the Love and Theft version, but that is a high bar. This is a very enjoyable, bouncy version, and Watchtower then closes the set. Night 2 did not have as many surprises, but was notable for only repeating one song, Highway 61, and memorable for the inclusion of the following. The Ballad of Hollis Brown, missing only the grass is turning black verse and done in the same swampy, breathy arrangement as It's All Right Ma from last night. A rare If You See Her Say Hello, which would only see 11 more live appearances out of its 88 outings. Now this song is interesting in that Bob's official site does not have the lyrics as they are on the album. Tonight Bob plays mostly the version that is currently on the website with the altered second verse. It's too convoluted to break down here, and the song suffers from upsinging, but alternate lyric takes may be a good subject matter for another presentation. Every show that I was sitting next to my lady and heard her favorite Dylan song, Every Grain of Sand, was a good show for me, upsinging or not. Blind Willie McTell closes out the list of special songs on this night, save one. He was having fun with his phrasing. The song is complete. Lyrically, he stays true to the first outtake version we heard. The jaw-dropping moment, though, was Lenny Bruce. 5 years since its last outing, it would get 6 more plays through the end of 2008, then take an 11-year hiatus before it returns for 13 more performances in 2019.
Bruce is dead, but his ghost is living on and on. Never did get any golden overboard. Never made it to sailing on. He was an outlaw. That's for sure. Spirit living on and on. Maybe he had some problems. Maybe some things that it just couldn't look out. But it sure was funny, and he sure told the truth. And he knew what he was talking about. Or cut off any baby's head. You just took the folks in high places and a shined a lot in our bed. took a couple of months, and then Bruce moved on, just like the ones that kept him gone. They said that he was sick, 'cause he didn't play by the rules. He just showed the wise men of his day to be nothing more than fools. They stabbed him and they labeled him like they do with pants and shirts. He fought a war on a battlefield where every victory hurts. Lenny Bruce was bad. He was the brother that you never had.
By the third night, I stopped trying to guess what was coming. Drifters was a semi-regular in the opening slot, and Love Minus Zero is always welcome. We weren't aware at the time that God Knows would be relegated to the dustbin of history after 2006. Ring Them Bells, only played 31 times live, only twice for me, up the ante for this night. It's a heartfelt version with a lyric flub at the beginning of the fourth verse where he misses blind and the deaf, so he comes back to it, repeating the last two verses until it is right.
There's the valleys and streams, but the deep and the wide, and the world inside. Time is running backward, and there's no place left to hide. Ring them bells, St. Peter, with the four winds blow. Ring them bells with an iron hand. that I live. Ringing bells, but the truth is true. Who will judge the levy when the game is through? Ringing bells for the child that cries, for the time that flies, with innocence who dies. Ringing bells, St. Catherine, from the top of the roof. Ringing bells on the fortress of the lilies and blue. For the flags are long and the fire is strong, and they're breaking down the distance between right and wrong. Ringing bells for the blind and the deaf. Ringing bells for all of us gone left. Ringing bells for the chosen few that will judge the many when the game is through. Ringing bells for the time that flies, for the child that cries, with innocence that dies. Ringing bells, St. Catherine, from the top of the room. Ringing bells from the fortress for the lilies that bloom. For the lines are long and the fighting is strong, and the breaking down the distance between right and wrong.
I've heard I Believe in You a half dozen times. No version will supplant the two from 1980, but Bob does a good job of beating back the upsinging, delivers a harp solo, and definitely does not just mail this one in. It is lyrically perfect. I love how he closes with the opening couplet. Phantom Engineer is always welcome, even when it's called It Takes a Lot to Laugh, It Takes a Train to Cry. This is its last outing until it comes back into the rotation on a regular basis in 2018. I heard this in 75 and 92, then it avoided me until a reappearance in Saint Etienne, France in 2004. Haven't heard it since this night in Boston. The fall out of your chair song this evening was I Dreamed I Saw St. Augustine, only 39 times live, the third and last time for me. It had not been played in the set list since 1992, the last time I heard it, and it was played 3 more times in 2005, then once in Cork, Ireland in 2011.
I think my song, St. Augustine, alive with you and me. Tearing through these corners here, they utmost misery. When the blanket underneath is on, and the moon of solid gold Rise, rise, so loud, and a voice without mistake about your gifted kings and queens, and hereby sang her play. No wonder is among you now that you can hold your own and go on your way accordingly. I know you're not alone. Marina's law, Saint Augustine, alive with fire with breath. And I dreamed I was amongst the one that put him out to death. And I hope in that girl, so alone, terrified. I put my fingers against the glass, and I bowed my head and cried.
I do think that was well received, and that long harp outro shows you Bob was really enjoying himself and did not want to let the song go. When Watchtower closed the show, I realized it was only the second repeated song we got in the 3 nights. Thank you, Bob. 2005 in Boston was truly an uncommon residency. As an afterthought, I found 3 concurrent concerts, not a residency, not on consecutive nights, that had an even higher percentage of unique songs. For those of you interested in chasing these things, the first 3 nights of the Temple and Flames tour in 1987 beats out the Boston 2005 residency by 100th of a percentage point. 42 unique songs out of 44. Thanks for hearing me out. It's been fun walking through those shows again. Hope I made you listen. Next episode, Dylan Miss and the Locarno Turnaround.